Now everyone knows after a sick off kill or like a 1v5 clutch, or when you B-hop 5 times to get to A ramp 1 second quicker than usual, you have to reward yourself. And that reward comes in the form of pulling out your knife. You pull it out, you inspect it, you do what you gotta do, and for a brief moment there, you feel like your life actually has some semblance of purpose. Now this is not just a phenomenon that's exclusive to you. There's a term for it, and it's called Stimmaxxing. And whether you knew the word for it or not, you've been doing it your entire Counter-Strike career. So before we get into the art of Stimmaxxing, we must define it first. Now there of course is no definitions for this, so we'll have to make one up on our own. But think of it as a synonym of swagger. It is the art of maximizing your visual animations from your knife for both personal and spectator enjoyment. And it's not about the exterior of the knife 100%. Screenshots don't matter here. It is about how your knife looks in motion. And it's not just for you either. When you're in a 1v3 clutch, there's 4 people watching you. And when you win that 1v3 clutch, the amount of swagger and steeze that oozes off of your being is different if you use a default knife compared to a butterfly knife. Now CS players have been Stimmaxxing since the knife came out in 2013. But the art of Stimmaxxing has gained popularity over the last couple of months. And to be honest, I kind of see myself as an authority in the space. So I'm going to show you how to Stimmax, which knives have the capacity to Stimmax, and which knives don't. So today, we're going to go through a long and strenuous process, and we're going to put every single knife in the Mike Water 9 StimMax scrutinization method. A tried and true, rigorous system that will separate the players from the frauds. And once we weed out the frauds, I'll show you exactly what to do with the ones that actually matter. Now before we get into the rankings, you need to understand what we're actually measuring here. I'm not telling you which knives are going to go up in value. I'm not telling you which one looks better than this one than that one, whatever. This is fucking science. This is a rigorous process. Now we will break down the formula into a weighted system. 10% of our criteria will be based on the exterior of the knife. This is what usually people base their knife ratings on. The shape. Does it command respect, or is it the joke of the Counter-Strike community? It does play a role, but a less role. 10% of our final score. The bulk of our scoring will come from the pullout animation, which pulls a 30% weight on the criteria. The pullout is your first impression upon taking out the knife. If you get a kill, fall back and get another kill, the only thing you really see there is the pullout. And if you win a 1v5, after you get that last kill, the pullout is when everyone starts screaming. Some pullouts ooze confidence, some don't. This matters the most. And here's where you get into the nitty gritty. This is the nuance. The pullout inspect combo. The F plus R combo, the lesser known R plus F combo. This is where the true knife connoisseurs of each class separate themselves from a new user of the knife. When you figure out which animations go with which type of situation you're in, that's when you really start to elevate yourself on a Steeze level. This is going to take up 20% of our score. And lastly, the post-kill B-hop sequence. You hit a nasty shot, and then you start B-hopping, and you actually hit the B-hop. Does the knife work for you, or does it work against you? If you're moving fast, and your knife still comes out slow, then it doesn't really look too good. This must be taken into account. And those 4 criteria, those are tangible. We can look and see what exactly we're rating for. But the last one is intangible, and that is the Steeze factor. Steeze, if you don't know, is shorthand for style and ease. It's how much swag oozes from your fucking being after pulling out the knife. And there's a few Steeze axioms that we must abide by. First one, finish. The knife blade matters, but the knife finish doesn't really matter on a quantifiable level. However, if you pull out a butterfly knife Forrest DD Pat versus a butterfly knife Sapphire, there's going to be a difference there. Steeze axiom number 2, the dance. Is the sequence harmonious? Is the knife dancing with you? Or does it have 2 left feet? This is something a lot of people don't consciously notice. And that's because Steeze is fleeting. It can't be quantified and you can't really feel it. But you can see it. Now, is Stimmax going to make your aim better? No, it's probably going to make it worse, to be honest. But after you hit that shot, and after you win that clutch, and after you hit those B-hops, what once was a decent clip becomes something frag movie worthy. You need to learn this art. Now, I don't want to bore you with the rigorous testing of every single knife. There's 20. So we can remove some of the fluff, but I'll give you a brief explanation as to why. Now, let me be very clear. The knives I am eliminating right now are not necessarily bad knives, but they are not StimMax knives. If you buy one of these expecting to look Steeze as fuck, you are not. And with that being said, our first elimination will be the Huntsman knife. Now, the spin that comes with the pullout does have Steeze factor, but the spin pullout animation sort of gives off a vibe of silliness and whimsy, whereas the exterior of the knife gives off a vibe of my parents are divorced, edgy. These 2 vibes don't connect. We will come back to the spin stim later because there is a knife that does it better. However, the Huntsman, you are out, unfortunately. The next knife, the Stiletto. It's a very popular knife and it looks good in your screenshots, but under StimMax scrutinization, it crumbles. The pullout is extremely rigid. It's like your character is trying to fight the knife to get it out. The sound does its best to make good of a bad situation. However, they don't play sounds in fucking frag movies. The click cannot be taken seriously as a reason for why it's a good knife. And Steeze axiom number 1, you need a good finish. The Stiletto allows for you to have a shitty finish, and you can't even really notice because the blade is 2 fucking inches long and wide. Stolen Valor Knife. Now the Stiletto isn't a bad knife, like I said. It looks great in your inventory, it looks great when you're taking screenshots of it. But we're talking stim, we're talking poetry in motion. The Stiletto's got none of that. Next up we have the Navaja. No surprise here. It should be used to being at the bottom of every list at this point. This is just the Falchion Knife or the Nomad Knife with worse animations and a worse blade. It also lacks the rare animations of those knives. And as you'll see with the Falchion, the rare animation is the canvas from which all stim stems. Without that, the Navaja is just a knife. The Bowie. Yeah, you can spin it. Yeah, it's a popular knife. Whatever. My God. The animation is so fucking slow. You pay $200 to gain 400 pounds in game. Now, from a logical perspective, that makes sense. Right? It's a big, giant fucking sword knife. At least the fucking swing looks powerful, right? Not at all. You look like you have cerebral palsy. Moving on, we have the 3 Stooges. It's the Ursus, Paracord, and Survival. I'm grouping these together because Valve also designed them together, clearly. The pullout is the same for all 3. Every, 7 to 8 times on average, you get a pity animation, which are also horrible. Now, let's say on average you get 16 kills a game. That means after only 2 of those kills, you're pulling out the knife and it looks good. That's not how you get results. For the exteriors of the knife, they're all worse versions of knives that already exist. Now these were clearly designed by Valve to be terrible low-tier knives so people could buy knives for cheap, and it's never been more apparent when placed under a Steeze scrutinization spotlight. I'm convinced these make you worse at the game. Every terrible player has a survival knife for some reason, whereas the 16-year-old kid on my team on Adderall, he's rocking a default knife. And with that, we've gotten our fluff out of the way. Let's get into the real stuff. So we have our contenders. Now, tier lists are overdone, so let's change it up for the new year, yeah? The Mike Water 9 StimMax CASTE system. Basically the same thing, we've just made it our own. So let's get into the rating. We're first going to start off with the Falchion Knife. When I say I was taken aback by the Falchion Knife, I mean wow. This is one of the most autistic knives in the game. The pullout is decent, however the RF and FR are amazing. It looks like you're dribbling a basketball, which is hilarious. The spin looks good. And when you combine the spin with the balancing on hand, it looks really, really good. So the combo is the key here. You need to combo by clicking FR, FR, FR. This is a Stim certified knife, and I'm probably going to get one now. In fact, I am going to get one. I'm going to get one on skinsmonkey.com. Do you like free stuff? Well, if you do, the wonderful ladies and gentlemen over at skinsmonkey.com, today's sponsor, have put together such a beautiful Christmas event. From now until January 11th, simply log on the website and look at that top banner. It'll say claim free gift. Now the gift can either be a new skin, it could be on-site balance, or it could be an increased deposit bonus. And if you're a smart investor, you'll use code MIKE, which will give you an extra 5% bonus, which can bring you all the way up to 50%. And the more trades you make on the website, the more gifts Skins Monkey will send to you. I got an M4A4 Evil Daimyo, so it's not like they're giving you Safari meshes either. These are real nice skins. In addition to that, they've also prepared an advent calendar. Simply go on the website every day and claim an entry into a huge pool of giveaways. And again, these are nice skins. This Ruby Knife is the top prize right now. So thank you to Skins Monkey for sponsoring, and thank you also for putting together such a nice and wonderful event for the community. Falchion Knife, you're at the top of the CASTE system, baby. While the Huntsman doesn't have the silliness and whimsicalness of a spin knife, the gut knife does it right. So if the spin stim speaks to you, then this is the knife to go with for sure. However, that depends on whether you like the stim or not. Because once you take away the spin, the gut knife isn't working with much, and it's just a fat, chunky, ugly knife. So that will place the gut knife in the bottom middle tier of our CASTE system. Our next knife will be the Shadow Daggers. Again, another absolute sleeper banger. Now the beauty of these things, they hide in the RF and FR animations, which might be a potential reason why the uninformed knife user might not like these knives. Because my God, once you get a kill, you can freak out. You have 2 fidget spinners in your hands. Now the left hand, right hand switch out animation is not great here because you have knives in 2 hands and it kind of looks the same when you mirror them. However, it is balanced out by the fact that when you hit a B-hop and you start punching the fucking air, it looks pretty good. A tier. Next, the flip knife. Now the flip Insta Inspect is very good for ripping a quick stimmy in between kills. But it was nerfed over the summer. You see, the main stim for flip knife users were the swing inspect, swing inspect. Now that has been ripped away from the cold, bland hands of flip knife users. So now they must look back with rose-tinted glasses about how the flip knife used to look and not how it currently is, which unfortunately groups it with the gut knife in the lower middle CASTE system tier. Now we have a twofer here. We have the Talon and the classic knife. On the surface, you might not know why I'm kind of grouping them together, but they are little brothers of the Karambit and M9 Bayonet respectively. Now it's hard to fill the shoes of those 2 knives, right? We're talking LeBron James Jr., Michael Jordan's kid here. And the fact that I don't even know Michael Jordan's kid's name is exactly what I mean. The animations are the same And there are some innovations, however, they do not push the envelope. And that's not what you want in a sequel. You don't want to play it safe, you want to be innovative. For the classic knife, all they had to do was give it the vertical holding the knife animation. It would have made it such a great knife. However, it is not a STIMMAX knife. It's just not its wheelhouse, so we'll have to put it with the flip and gut in that bottom lower middle tier. The Talon copies too much from the Karambit with all of the inspecs and FRRF. The pullout is worse, which means you're not dancing with the knife. It takes two to tango, but it will not go with the classic knife. It'll go one tier above in the middle tier. The skeleton knife. Now the skeleton knife does have potential to be great. However, you could tell that him and the three fucking stooges are related. The same pullout as the Ursus, Survival, and Paracord. It just so happens to be that its rare pullout is much, much better. But is it that much better? Because you're still waiting for every 1 out of 10 tries to get the cool animation. You can't chase these cool animations in the heat of the battle. You gotta get a kill, pull out your knife, go back. But when you do get a kill, and you spin it in your hand, and then you inspect and spin it like this, it's truly a spectacle to be witnessed. But the odds of that are slim to none. Therefore, we cannot include it in our rating, in good faith. It will go in the bottom with the rest of the untouchables. Next, we will go with the Karambit. The pullout is way too clean. The left hand, right hand makes it look like you're running really fast if you do it in succession. And the spin factor allows for a modest amount of stim, while simultaneously giving you an OG Steeze factor, intangible. This is going right under the Royal class where it'll join the Shadow Daggers. That's the first time that's ever been said. Next, we will go with the M9 Bayonet. Now, while the classic is the little brother of the M9 Bayonet, and the M9 Bayonet is a better knife, these two knives and their pullouts and their inspecs, their RF and FR, left hand, right hand, they don't necessarily translate into Stimmaxxing. The M9 Bayonet is one of my favorite knives, and it pains me to say it, but it just isn't a stim knife. It also does not work well with ops. It only works with the rifle and the pistol. Therefore, we will have to put it in the middle tier here, sharing a spot with the Talon knife. Now, a lot of people like the M9 better than the regular Bayonet, but the Bayonet wins handedly here. Before the modern stim knives, there was the Bayonet. This is the skateboard slash snowboard of the knives. This is pure swagger, and you can stim the fuck out with this knife. Get a kill, flip it out, done. You don't even gotta jump or do anything. That alone is beautiful. But then, you get a kill, you B-hop, pull it out, insta-inspect, insane. Over the summer with the animation update, they added something where you pull it out and insta-inspect it, and it's pretty funny. It looks like your knife is a soldier that's ready for duty. He like stands up and takes position mad quick. And this is what I'm talking about when it's a dance. If you time it and you jump and you hit the ground at the same time the knife hits your hand, and then you hit your fucking B-hops, it's a thing of beauty to see. You need rhythm though. It's like listening to a perfectly tuned guitar. The left hand, right hand switch combo, one of a kind. And while it may be slowly forgotten to time due to new stim knives taking the spotlight, anyone rocking the Bayonet in game is an absolute Steeze beauty. And I hope they may enjoy a fruitful life. This is at the top. Royal class, joining the Falchion. Next, we go to the Nomad, one of my favorite of the newer generations of knives, and that's because it does not rely on rare animations to make it good. The pullout is clean, you could flip from hand to hand, that's what carries it, and as I said, the pullout is the most important factor here. The Nomad passes that with flying colors. It does not rely on a rare animation. In fact, the rare animation just adds a little bit more emphasis to the regular animation, which is how all of them should be. So you're not chasing that rare animation every single time. Everything else though is a normal blade. The FRRF doesn't really do anything to it. You basically only have the pullout, but there is a lot to work with there. So we will put it in the middle tier with the Talon and the M9 Bayonet. Our last two, and we will go with the Kukri knife. Heaven. This one and the Falchion Knife are close competition for the best one. Multiple pullout animations, and they're all crazy. So if you go from hand to hand, it looks like you're juggling knives, which is crazy. And each juggle, it's a different fucking animation. And when you spam RF and FR, it looks like you're freaking the fuck out. And that's Stimmaxxing. I was so Stimmaxxed, I actually just started running around the map in circles, Stimmaxxing. It was crazy. And here's where it gets crazy, folks. Because unlike a lot of the other knives, this is where the Kukri knife becomes a dance. You see that inspect? How it goes? You see that? Now, it may look a little weird on the surface. However, combine your mouse movement with that. Now, when you pull it, you're turning with the knife. Now you're dancing. Now, when do you turn to the side in game pulling out your knife? A B-hop. In theory, you hit an op shot. You start ripping a stimmy. Knife comes out, you look left, you jump, and then you B-hop the fuck away. As you're B-hopping, you're spamming juggle. This is the best fucking stim knife in the game. At the top of the pyramid. But our last knife might have something to say about it. While the Kukri enjoys its new time in the spotlight, the butterfly's been there for everyone for over 10 years now. It also has multiple pullouts that always look good as well. It doesn't look like you're juggling, but switching from left hand to right hand also looks pretty good here. Unlike the Kukri, it has multiple inspecs as well. which makes the potential combos of what you get after a kill effectively infinite, right? You only need like 6 possible ones before you forget what the first one looked like anyway. When you do that and then go, that's the best animation. So it too belongs right at the top with the Kukri, Falchion, and Bayonet. And those 4 knives are your true STIMMAXxer favorites. Now you choose whatever knife you want. This guide is just to understand what works and what you have to do to give yourself another layer of swagger in the game. Because confidence is key. And if you look good, you feel good. And if you feel good, you play good. Never underestimate confidence and always build it up. So you want to be timeless? Karambit, butterfly. You want modern and you want to be versatile across rifles, pistols, and the aught? Kukri. If you're a hipster, shadow daggers. And if you're the guy in premier matches that like rips a bison round 3, everyone hates him, Falchion Knife. And if you own one of the untouchables, sorry, you're probably just gonna have to sell it. If you have any StimMax clips, send them in to me. We'll showcase them in the next Sunday news. Cheers.